Hey everybody, it's PartyElite, kicking off our European Pack DLC showcase for Planet Zoo. Just as a heads up, our Planet Zoo schedule will be returning to normal for the next little while as we add all of the DLC animals from this new pack, starting with the Eurasian Lynx. Today's story that informs our enclosure is a bit tangential, yes, but I find it to be absolutely fascinating, and you might actually be familiar with parts of it, depending on just your exposure to some of these mythologies and all that. But I'm actually curious, if you have heard this story, if you're familiar with any parts of it, I would love to know. So let me know in the comments down below, because I've always found it pretty fascinating. So the story is that of the Danaides, and our connection is through the King Lynceus of Argos, and his name actually translates to lynx-eyed. The lynx eye is the first of the many references we're going to be making. The shape of this enclosure is inspired by the lynx eye, and that's not just because of this one connection. The lynx eye is actually referenced across the board, across mythologies, across the world. It's kind of interesting. Sometimes it can see through objects. It's always extremely sharp. So it comes up often, and I mean it literally. Across the world, lynx folklore tends to involve its eyesight to at least some degree. So I thought it'd be good to reference that over here. In fact, there's actually also a scientific academy, the Academia de Lynx, that is named after the lynx. And it's because of its eyesight, which represents the sort of observational prowess that science requires. And you might be familiar with at least one member of this academy, that is Galileo. So yeah, the Academia de Lynx, named after the lynx because also of its eye. So we had to make a reference to the eye, right? Anyway, I digress. That's a tangent to our tangent. So back to our story. King Lynceus was one of 50 sons of Aegyptus, and he was... Aegyptus, that is, was a twin to Danaus. Danaus and Aegyptus were sons of Belus, and when Belus died, his lands were split among the twins, which was cause for some rivalry between Aegyptus and Danaus. And very quickly, I should mention, Hellenic names I almost always struggle with, so I apologize if I'm butchering any of these. Feel free to correct me where I'm wrong, but I do always struggle with these like Hellenic names, so my apologies in advance. Anyway, where was I? Right, so King Lynceus, one of the 50 sons of Aegyptus, twin brother to Danaus. Danaus and Aegyptus, kings of their own right, sons of Belus, but upon Belus's death and upon the sort of transition of control of territory, there was a lot of rivalry between these twin brothers. Long story short, at one point, Aegyptus's 50 sons were commanded to marry Danaus's 50 daughters. They are the Danaides. And though Danaus accepted the betrothal and accepted the proposal, rather I should say, he told his daughters to kill their husbands on their wedding night. Like when I say they were rivals, I mean they were serious rivals, right? This is how these stories go. So they were all commanded to kill their husbands, and they all listened except for one. And that one has a name that is almost... this is a tough one. Hypermnestra. The M and the N right next to each other make it like impossible for me to remember how to say this. Hypermnestra. Anyway, she didn't kill her husband, Lynceus, because he respected her wishes as far as wedding night activities were concerned, or the lack thereof. So she spared him. He escaped into hiding among some nearby hills, which are these like mountains that we've built over here. They're supposed to be little hills. We've got a little cave over there as well that represent where Lynceus escaped to. And he sort of hid there and waited for an opportunity. Hypermnestra, meanwhile, was punished. She wasn't killed. I think in some versions of the story she was killed by her father for betraying him, but otherwise she was just kind of punished, let's use that as a generic term. She was punished by her father for betraying him. Lynceus eventually returns from hiding from the hills and goes on to avenge his brothers and kills Danaus. You know, because he literally killed 49 of his brothers. Moving on from that, Danaus and Hypermnestra, however her name is said, they go on to form the Danaid dynasty, starting with their son Abbas, but that's a story for another time, I suppose. Either way, the 49 daughters of Danaus, the Danaides, who did kill their husbands, were punished in the afterlife. And their punishment, this is what you might be familiar with, because this is there are famous paintings of this, and it's a very famous part of the story, so you might be familiar with this. But the punishment for the Danaides was to fill a bathtub with water. And there are a few different versions of this punishment. You might be thinking, well, that's easy enough, but no. The crux of the punishment is that the bathtub had a hole in it, so it would constantly be leaking. And that's what we've got going on over there at the top right corner right now. You can see at the top of the hills, we've got the little bowl, which represents the bathtub. The color of it references a very famous painting as well. But you've got the bathtub, and the waterfall coming out of it represents the leak in this bathtub. And so these Danaides were punished to fill this this bathtub with water. Now, again, in some versions of the story, the leak is in the tub itself. In other versions of the story, the leak is actually in the jugs that they have to use to fill the bathtub, so preventing them from even getting water to the bathtub to begin with. But I've gone with the leak being as a part of the bathtub. So there are a couple of variances, of course, as there tend to be. But yeah, so we've got a couple of references here. We got the hill. I'm actually adding the city over here to represent where the wedding, the bedding, and the bloodshedding all happened. Oof, came up with that on the spot. Feel pretty good about that. But that, yeah, I just figured we'd make a reference to our other area of classical architecture and all that as we expanded into the European section over here. Of course, making a connection between North Africa and Europe over here. I thought that was a nice touch. But we've got the hills at the back there where King Lynceus hid and planned his revenge. We've got, again, the city where that actually happened, and we've got the bathtub where that represents the punishment for the Danaides. It's a very fascinating bit of mythology. It's got some like grounded elements, like elements that are based in truth. Again, as some of these myths tend to be, and it's always been one of my favorites. I do love the Greco-Roman tradition of punishments. They often tend to have similar patterns. Repetition seems to be a very common pattern, and that's in many ways that kind of punishment is something we have in Judeo-Christian faiths and stuff as well. But now I digress once more. I had a lot of fun building this. I hope you enjoyed this story, and I hope you enjoyed the space as well. We're going to take a look at how the Lynx actually navigates it as I build some of the path to the bathtub and the path from the city to the hills. But I do hope you had a good time. But for now, back to regular speed. Alright, folks, we are back from the time lapse, and I gotta say, I am, again, pretty pleased with how this has turned out. It didn't go exactly as I'd imagined it at first, but that's always the case, especially when a new DLC first comes out, and I gotta take a look at all the new pieces and see what's available and what we might be able to use and what old pieces we have to rely on instead. But overall, I'm sure I sort of narrated the story and the references I'm making over here. Overall, I feel like all those points that I wanted to hit have been hit. We've found a good space for it as well. It's right next to sort of, other classical architectural references. Obviously, this is a reference to Volubilis and stuff like that. If you watch the previous episode where we built this, you'll know what this is all about. So pulled a little bit from this as well to sort of segue into our European section of this DLC zoo. I think that's a quite, fortunate set of circumstances that we had this gap over here and we were able to build this suitable segue. So that's worked out nicely. But beyond that as well, within the enclosure itself, we've got a couple of nice references going on to something that might not be very familiar to many people, something that maybe some of you have heard of, in parts and in pieces. You might be familiar with parts of the legends and the myths that I was talking about, but hopefully this tells a nice story to anybody who's coming through and checking this enclosure out and watching this time lapse, I suppose. Folks, real quick mention, of course, of the fact that if you've been enjoying this kind of coverage of the DLC, if you would like to see it continue, don't hesitate to keep letting me know by leaving those likes and comments down below. As always, they make a very big difference in letting me know what y'all want to see on the channel, what I should keep doing, what I should slow down, what I should pick up the pace on. So if you've been enjoying this Sandbox DLC Showcase Zoo, or if it's your first time watching, potentially, and you enjoyed what you saw so far, don't hesitate to let me know. Leave a like and a comment down below. It does really help me make decisions on the channel. And on the topic of if this is your first time watching one of these time lapses on this channel, don't hesitate to check out all of the other enclosures that we built across all of the other DLC, ever since the aquatic DLC, actually, I should say specifically. We've been building up this Sandbox Zoo and building a bunch of, I think at least, really interesting enclosures with lots of really interesting cultural stories, mythologies, and all sorts of fun stuff. But that's not the topic of today's video. Let's get focused over here. So we are taking a look at the Eurasian Lynx, and I was fairly certain, you might have noticed during the time lapse, I did a quick check of its biome spread, and I was fairly certain, in part because of its name, that the Eurasian Lynx had a very massive sort of, space that it occupies, and a huge variety of biomes as well. But I wanted to double check, of course, before I built the whole thing wrong in terms of the requirements. But as expected, you can see just how much land it actually covers, the Eurasian Lynx. But let's go in order. Let's start with the general information over here. Of course, we're going to take a look at the Zoopedia entry first. We're going to go through all these tabs, and then we'll go ahead and actually get some of these Eurasian Lynxes in. We'll see how they behave in this space, and then I will take a look at the comments of this episode to see which animal y'all would like to see added in the next session. Just as a quick pointer as well, by the way, we are going to return to the regular Planet Zoo schedule for the duration of this DLC coverage. I know for the last little while we've been doing one episode per week because Jurassic World Evolution 2 released, but our first miniseries in that has concluded. So for this DLC, we're going to be doing our regular schedule, give or take an hour here or there. So over to the Eurasian Lynx. The Lynx, very creative. Least concern as far as their status is concerned. Population wild is 70k to 80k, so 70,000 to 80,000. The Eurasian Lynx, or Lynx, is a medium-sized cat that is found in temperate and boreal forests and mountains of Europe and Asia. It has a broad, stocky build with large feet and is known for its short tail and distinctive ear tufts. Its coat color ranges from cream to tan, with black spots all over the body. Both the tail tip and ear tufts are black too. Males and females look alike, although males are slightly larger and significantly heavier. Male Eurasian lynxes weigh 44 pounds up to 99 pounds, with a head body length of 39.2 inches to 43.6 inches, and shoulder height of 24 inches to 30 inches, okay? Female lynxes only weigh 39.6 pounds to 55 pounds, measure 37.6 inches to 42.4 inches in head body length, and stand. What is it? How do you mid-sentence transition from one unit to another? Stand 54 centimeters to 68 centimeters tall at the shoulder. What? That's the first time I've seen that happen in Zoopedia. And those of you familiar with the channel will remember the countless times we flip-flop between Zoopedia entries, going from one unit to another unit. Sometimes it's pounds, sometimes it's kilograms, sometimes it's inches, sometimes it's centimeters. This is those are in separate entries. This is I love this mid-sentence. It's not even two separate sentences. Mid-sentence, it just decides, you know what? We're gonna go with centimeters. I understand transitioning from one to another when you want to get more precise. I understand rather than using fraction inches, wanting to use millimeters, but this is funny. Anyway, they stand 54 to 68 centimeters tall at the shoulder. The stubby tail is 4.4 inches to 9.6 inches long in both sexes. Man, that's funny. The Eurasian lynx populations have been threatened in the past due to overhunting for their fur. Hunting the species is now illegal in all countries except Russia, and in the 1960s and 1970s, the Eurasian lynx was reintroduced to areas of its historical range in Germany, France, Austria, and Switzerland. Today, the species is not endangered. Always nice to see a couple of success stories in Zoopedia, because I vaguely remember hearing that the lynxes were endangered, or not endangered necessarily, but maybe vulnerable. And maybe I was just looking at, when I was reading up on them, it was like old texts and stuff, because this is when I was a kid, I was reading up on old textbooks and things like that. I could have sworn the Eurasian lynx was endangered, or at least, somewhat threatened in my lifetime, starting in the 90s, but maybe I'm mistaken. Either way, pretty cool. I do like the look of the Lynx. It's always been a very interesting beast in my opinion, and I'm curious to see how they've integrated them, and if they just kind of feel like every other like big cat kind of a thing, or if there are some unique elements. There are some unique toys for them to play with. To a degree, they're unique, so I'm curious to see how it all plays out and how they interact with the new climbable pieces as well. Over to their natural habitat, we already kind of touched on this, so that's why this kind of makes sense. Then this is the you could call it artificial reintroduction into these ranges, I suppose. Our story, of course, comes from a little bit further south, so I wouldn't be surprised if their range used to be even larger than this. But of course, now urban centers and stuff prevent that kind of full reintroduction and things like that. But yeah, it is a massive spread. These guys are pretty much everywhere in the old world. Of course, excluding Africa and Southeast Asia, but they're very widespread. And if I'm not mistaken, they have their variances across the board. I'd be shocked if they didn't, but if I'm not mistaken, they do have their variances across the board. The one thing that's throwing me off, and I'll have to verify this, but I could have sworn that the Lynx is also in North America. And maybe, oh, you know what? Right, of course. It's because this is the Eurasian Lynx. Specifically, I assume it's staying focused on Eurasia as opposed to the Lynx in general, which you can also find in North America. I am fairly certain, because if I'm not mistaken, the Lynx is present in quite a bit of Native American like folklore and mythologies, which, again, I'll have to verify this, but if memory serves me right, a lot of the mythos and all the folklore are coming from North American, indigenous North American folklore has a lot of similarities to a lot of the folklore that comes from like Eurasian stories as well. Like the eye of the lynx. I might have touched on this during the time lapse as well, and I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but the eye of the lynx, the keen eye of the lynx, is something that comes up very often, and it's just cool to see the similarities. And of course, we can talk about the land bridge, and we can talk about the transfer of information, et cetera, sure. But it is still cool to see in action and to see, what parts actually got kind of spread from these very distant worlds, if you will. Anyway, sorry. That's enough about the map. You can see the variety of biomes that they can survive in. Pretty big temperature range as well, from -13 to 38. That's a huge range. 51 degree Celsius range. It's pretty big. And as far as space requirements, I do hope we've got enough space for these guys. If let's go ahead and say 2 and 2, 945 meters square. Let's take a quick peek, actually, because I'm something a little worried about. Oh yeah, okay, no, we're fine. We have like more than twice the amount of space that they need, so we're okay. We're okay. They don't require any climbing, but they will, enjoy it, I assume, or they'll use it to navigate the space. They don't require water or deep water either, but we have provided some for drinking and things like that. It's my preferred way to get water to the animals. Sorry, I just got distracted because I was looking at some of the listed like spaces, and I'm just like, I don't know if the map correctly reflects the exact border breakdown of this part of Europe. Is like a little hard because there's a lot of like very it's a jigsaw puzzle down over here, and I'm just like, I wonder if this range shouldn't go a little bit further south. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Over to species data. Group size is 1 to 2, up to 1 male, up to 1 female, as predicted. Male group size for male bachelor group size, is 1. Female bachelor group size is 1 to 3. Of course, both of those excluding juveniles. A dominant system is none. Mating system is polygynous. Relation with humans is shy, which is, I was kind of contemplating making this glass one way, and we'll see if we have to do that. And guests, of course, cannot enter the habitat. The average size for males is 27.2 inches tall at the shoulder. For females, it is 24.4 inches tall at the shoulder. And life expectancy is 18 years across the board on average. And weight, there's actually a decent discrepancy over here. 60.5 pounds on average for males, 48.4 pounds on average for females. Sexual maturity is at 3 years. Sterility is at 15. Number of offspring per mating event is 1 to 4. with a 2-month gestation period. Wow, 2-month only. 2-month gestation period, 24-month interbirth period, and easy reproduction in captivity. Maybe I should have saved these guys for later because we're almost guaranteed baby lynxes. Maybe I should have looked up some harder to like animals that have a harder time reproducing to get them done sooner, so that we're more likely to see their babies over the course of this miniseries, right? But anyway, that's well, that's fine. More baby lynxes, there's nothing to complain about. Social needs. In the wild, lynx are... Oh, really? Is that the plural for lynx? I always thought it was lynxes, but I guess not lynx. Lynx is the plural for lynx. Fair enough. In the wild, lynx are solitary animals and live alone except for mothers with their cubs. However, male and female lynx are known to form strong bonds in captivity. That stuff is always so cool when they behave so differently, you know, depending on setting. Reproduction. The mating season of the Eurasian lynx is in late winter, when lynx will call and scent mark far more than at any other time of the year. If a male locates a female, he will follow her for 3 to 5 days. During this period, they will sniff and rub against each other, play, hunt, and sleep together. The female is fertile for 1 to 10 days. Once she is no longer receptive, the male will leave and attempt to find another female. If 2 males locate the same female, they may fight over her. Pregnancies last between 67 and 74 days, after which the female will give birth to a litter of 1 to 4 cubs. In preparation of the birth, she will set up a den in a cave, hollow log, or dense root and undergrowth. After birth, cubs are helpless and entirely depend on their mother for food and warmth. They will begin to walk, eat solid food, and explore outside their den after 3 to 4 weeks. Cubs are weaned between 3 and 5 months of age, but will remain with their mothers until she is fertile again, which can take between 1 to 3 years. Oh, fair enough. I guess we're going with the 24 right down the middle of that spread. 24 months, 2 years. As long as they have cubs with them, females will not get pregnant. Fair enough. So they actively avoid pregnancy when they already have cubs in their care. After leaving their mother, lynx cubs remain together for several months. Female Eurasian lynxes reach sexual maturity between 21 and 27 months old. Males around a year later at 30 to 36 months old. Wow, that's a huge gap, bigger than I would expect. Now, one thing that's interesting, actually, I'm curious about this, but like, look, this game doesn't like beat around the bush when it comes to saying like, oh yeah, the animals will mate multiple times, or you know, they'll copulate. Like the game doesn't like dance around words, you know. So when it says over here they sleep together during this period, does the game literally mean they'll, you know, like sleep together? I know that sounds like a very strange question, but I'm trying to figure out exactly what this paragraph or what this statement means from a behavioral perspective. Like, does the game literally mean that they will, you know, like sleep together, or is it saying during this period they will multiple times copulate to try and have a successful, you know, pregnancy? Like, I'm just curious because this is the only time I feel like the game has been cagey around the term. You know what's funny actually is I guess polygynous. I mean, I was expecting the lynx to be promiscuous, and this is the power of branding. The reason why I thought that is because, if I'm not mistaken, Lynx is the name of the Axe like body spray equivalent in the UK. Like the brand name is Lynx, if memory serves me right. And if you're familiar with how Axe advertises, or how Axe used to advertise, because they've since learned that what their old style of advertising doesn't fly anymore, but Lynx used to advertise in a very similar way in terms of the promiscuity and everything that it would imply. So because of that, actually, I always thought, well, I guess lynxes are just extremely promiscuous, and I guess that's what it is. But I mean, polygynous isn't. It's not the same, right? And the game does have promiscuous like animals that it classifies as promiscuous as well. But I just thought that was funny. I'm pretty sure it's called Lynx. Is the Axe equivalent in the UK and perhaps other parts of Europe as well. If you guys know better, then feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of funny. I was definitely surprised by reading this section over here. But just one of those things. I've been lied to my whole life, I guess. Over to research status and our fun facts. Now, this rubbing pad bark is what I was kind of hinting at earlier. Like, there are a couple of unique items here. Well, there's just the one unique item actually, and that's the rubbing pad bark. But I don't think it's actually necessarily all that unique. It's just the rubbing pad. Okay, no, actually, you know what? To be fair, the model is different. The model is very different because these are separate, like logs or slats that have bark on them versus these two. Okay, fair enough. But I imagine the animation around it is, the same between the rubbing pad and the rubbing pad bark. Like I say all the time, it would be nice to see the sort of every animal get at least one unique enrichment item. I feel like it just adds a bit more to the game, just makes them all a bit more interesting. But hey, it is what it is. Fun fact number 1. The Eurasian lynx is the largest of the 4 species of lynx and has one of the widest ranges of all wild cats. That's unsurprising, and yeah, there you go. There are 4 species of lynx, and the one I was thinking about in North America is obviously a different one, which would not be called Eurasian for, I think, obvious reasons. Fun fact number 2. During the winter, the Eurasian lynx grows thick fur on its feet so it can move unimpeded through the snow. All right, that's interesting. Fun fact number 3. The Eurasian lynx is an extremely quiet animal except during the mating season when they vocalize a lot in order to locate and attract mates. All right. Fun fact number 4, the Eurasian lynx is Romania's national animal. Interesting, I did not know that. All right, that's a fun fact. Fun fact number 5, due to the wide distribution of the Eurasian lynx, there are multiple described subspecies, although definitive subspecies placement can often prove difficult due to overlapping ranges and similar appearances. Very cool. All right, so I would say fun fact number 4 and fun fact number 5 earn the title of fun fact, but 1, 2, and 3, they're all right. I mean, 3 is okay as well, but it kind of hinted that already during the in this like species data section. 1 and 2 though, okay. 1 sets things off on the wrong like foot over here. It's like, yeah, all right, is that really the most funnest of facts that you could come up with? I'm sure there's more fun facts over here, but I don't know. These are all right. These are okay. These are fine. They're okay. No benefits from sharing spaces with other species. Fair enough. Not surprised there. Let's go ahead and get some in, shall we? Over to animal trading. Oh wait. Sorry. I love the new tools. I do love that we can click that little button over there. It's one of my favorite quality of life improvements this game has seen over the course of its just 2 years, two years and a bit of existence. Let's get Faina and Vladimir, I suppose. They're both bronze ranked, right? Customs seizure, right? And Vladimir, go ahead and adopt you from this private zoo over to the trading center. Let's go ahead and move both of y'all over to here and see how they enjoy the space. Now, with regards to some of the new tools and toys that have come with a free update, I think I'll probably explore those when we return to our franchise mode. Let's Play. Elite Zoo South does still have a couple of, a handful of episodes left in it, and it'll give us an opportunity to try out things with like the restaurants and with just some of the new, like the memorial as well. I might go back to an older zoo, to Elite Zoo North. I go back there to formalize the memorial and do the same to the memorial at Elite Zoo South as well. So there's a lot of new tools and toys that have come with this latest update, which is very exciting. I do think it's really cool that they keep pushing those kinds of upgrades out and those kinds of updates out for free. So I will be checking those out, but perhaps in the franchise mode playthrough, I don't know if I'll chase them in this mini series. I mean, I like to keep these focused around the DLC, right? And I will try to, of course, use more of the items from the Europe pack as well. I mean, there are some really cool pieces over here. A lot of like flags and banners and things like that, shields. A lot of medieval imagery. A lot of like Venetian, I would say, like looking pieces as well. Ooh, what is this? Ooh, hello. There's some really cool pieces actually. This it's funny. In the previous DLC, the North America pack DLC, I spoke at length multiple times about how little there was in terms of new architectural. Well, there weren't any new architectural pieces, and I was quite disappointed by that because there were no references to the variety of extremely rich cultural, options and opportunities there were with the North America pack DLC. But there was, the game didn't tap into that at all. So I was a little disappointed by that. But it does look like for Europe we have some very interesting pieces. Some of them cultural, some of them more some of them historical, I should say. Some of them perhaps a bit more modern. But you can see like we've got some really cool pieces. We have some really interesting tourism-focused pieces as well. You got this like this coach. I mean, pieces that I would never have expected to see. So it'll be interesting to kind of play around with these. One of my favorite actually additions are these decal pieces. This is really cool. So like if you have like you can apply these to anywhere, right? Like you go to any of your structures, you can like make it look like it's actually got you know, brick underneath, or you can actually cause some surface damage. This is really cool. This is like very cool. I think this is. It might seem so simple, but it is one of the best like piece additions because it works wonderfully retroactively. Look at the moss. It works wonderfully retroactively to all your older pieces, right? If you want to spruce up some of your things, some of your other spaces, you totally can. And you can add damage, you can add like moss and all kinds of really cool stuff. The decal stuff is really cool, actually. Really good. This one kind of looks like India, just a little bit. It has this shape a little bit. I wonder if any others are inspired by country shapes. I don't think so. That was just like pure chance that it happens to look like that. But these are really cool. Sorry, getting distracted there. I think this is a brilliant addition. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being sarcastic. I think it is so cool because you can add that extra life to some of your spaces. Now, you might not want to have your spaces look like they're not being taken care of, but for more, you know, kind of historical spaces for a bit of realism, right? Because nothing's really perfect. A bit of realism. This goes a long way, I think. Anyway, sorry. Enough looking at the pieces. Let's go ahead and take a look at our lynxes. By the way, folks, I should mention if you are interested in picking the DLC up for yourself. You should be able to pick it up at my game store, which you can find in the description down below, alongside a bunch of other links. I realize I said lynxes again. I'm so used to saying lynxes as the plural of lynx. All right, where are these guys? Where are you, buddy? Hello. Oh, you can actually get back here? Oh, okay. Well, in that case, hold on. Let's see how far they can go. Where'd you go again? Disappeared on me. Oh, here's this one. Alright, let's take a quick look and see what your reach is. You can escape back over here. Alright, fair enough. Let's go ahead and fix that. I thought we'd have blocked them out over here, but I guess not. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Undo that. Come on, there we go. Suppose I was mistaken. Not the end of the world, because I know I can put this. We'll not put the glass in here because there's really no point. Alright. There you are. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Such an interesting face. Oh, look at that. Such an interesting face. Just that the extra tufts and stuff along the jaw, let's call it. Not really, but you know, down from the ear, I suppose I should say. That's not the best camera angle. I wonder if they'll actually... Oh, you know what? I can check. Are you sneezing? I can check. Will they climb? Okay, so they can climb these trees. They can actually get up over here. They can climb all this. Yeah, okay, good. Very good, very good. Okay, cool. And how are they feeling overall, actually? Let's go ahead and... Animal is starving. I feel like I need more keepers more readily available. Even though it's a sandbox zoo, some of the animal requirements come up from time to time, right? Alright, where are we? Over to you. How do you feel about your space? Not enough short grass, too much rock. Alright, all this rock is a little bit too much. That's actually a surprise to me. I would have expected with its range, it would actually be okay with a bit more rock. But hey, that's not the end of the world. Go ahead and get some short grass up over here. Not a problem. Add it down over here. Add some more down over here, just at the base of the hills, if you will. The mountain, the hills. Technically, they're hills based on our story, right? The myth that we're recreating over here. Or the legend. The myth, the legend. The tale. Oh, that's a very interesting call. It literally sounds like a person imitating a big cat. There you are. Okay, well, you can get down here from... Whoa! Whoa, okay. That's what I was hoping for. I was hoping for them to either jump in or to use, like, that little, like, section over there to climb down, basically. Or the tree, What are you guys up to? Gonna use this. Right? It sounds like a human being making cat noises. Very stubby tail. Tiny tail, very tiny tail. over you go. Are you going to climb this? Please climb this. I would love to see a climb nice and early here. Up you go. Come on. No, of course not. Well, that's how you know it's a PartyElite episode of Planet Zoo. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Come on. Come on, get up there. Get up there. Oh, no such luck. Oh, maybe. Oh, he's just gonna jump up over here. That's a little goofy looking. I wish they'd figured out better like limits on that kind of stuff, because it happens fairly often, and it's a very immediate immersion breaking animation just to see that kind of a goofy jump go down. Are you gonna jump into the water, or you can just walk in? You can. All right, fair enough. Well, at least they're enjoying the water. They can drink down here. They use it to traverse over to this side as well, it looks like. Haven't seen them come up here yet, but this is where their hard shelter is. So if they do want to seek shelter from rain or anything like that, they will have to come up over here. And while I don't necessarily need them to be able to come up over here, I would like... Oh, just got away from me. What's going on over here? What is it? Are they all, like, starving? I assume that's the case. Just because, again, that's something I've not stayed too focused on, because it's not been necessary. It's a sandbox zoo, again. Don't think we've actually had any animals die from starvation or anything because of our settings. Alright. Oh, come on. Come on. Come on, get up there. Go, go, go. Go. No, not this way. That way. Oh, come on. Up this way. Fair enough. Nothing I can do about it, I suppose. A lot of tall grass over here. I wonder if I want to adjust that. Oh, there we go. There's the shot. There's the thumbnail shot. You can kind of get a little bit of everything in that shot. I was looking for an opportunity to try and capture everything for the thumbnail while recording gameplay. And this is like, all right, cool. The only thing that's hidden is the waterfall back there. Let's take a look over here. I like this. This tells you like 90% of the story over here, all in one shot. I quite like it. God, what a beautiful animal, though. What a beautiful animal. What a absolute beauty. Again, the devs have done a wonderful job of like bringing them to life. Apart from a couple of funky animations and things like that, they've done a great job of bringing these guys to life. I'm very curious about the audio though. It just sounds to me like a human, which I think is hilarious. Oh, look at that. I'm very happy with this enclosure actually. The more time we spend in it, the happier I am in it, just because of the visuals of it, and I'm curious to see if they will interact with some of these other spaces. In fact, right, what I was going to do earlier was, yeah, okay, I was pretty sure I checked already, but I wanted to just double check to make sure they are able to get up over here, and they are indeed, so that's good. So issues, negative effects, habitat cleanliness is a disease risk. Let's get people over to check in over here. Why? What? Okay, I understand. I'm not like staying on top of this, but like, whoa. Thought I'd change my settings to make sure these things wouldn't be as problematic as often, but maybe I'll need to check again. The inbreeding going on over here again. We're not really concerned about these things because it's not our main zoo. It's not our franchise mode playthrough zoo or anything like that. But if I spot it happening, I'll stop it. Obviously. I'm never gonna get over that voice. That can't be how a lynx actually sounds, is it? That's hilarious. Alright, well these guys seem to be enjoying the space. One of my big concerns down over here was that I wasn't sure if they'd be able to use a scratching post. But that's clearly not a problem, so that's good. They're not using the climbing facilities, though, if we can call them that, which is a bit of a bummer, but maybe once they get comfy with the space, they'll start using these logs and stuff to climb, because they can, right? They can even just rest up over here, as we saw, so hopefully they will do that. And I was really hoping to see them like climb this. Actually, hold on, can we? Traversable area. Yeah, they can get up over here. They can't climb this though. Interesting. Oh, interesting. I thought this was a climbable piece. Yeah, it literally says climbable natural trunk. Alright, well, I guess it's just not climbable for them, but they can climb, these little bridges and stuff, so hopefully we'll see some of that moving forward, and hopefully we'll see a baby lynx or two as well. Are you, oh, you're making some very different kinds of babies. On that note, though, folks, I think we'll call it a session over here today. And as we add more of these animals, of course, we'll loop back and see the cubs be born, and we'll keep up with them and see how they look, of course, and follow them through life. But I think we can call it a session over here. I'd love to hear which animal you'd like to see next. Again, let me know in the comments down below if you have any preferences, or if you don't, or if you're cool with anything, let me know that as well. If you enjoy this format, as always, let me know by leaving a like and a comment as well. Just helps me make decisions on the channel, lets me know what people are, again, interested in watching, what I should keep doing, what I should slow down, what I should stop, perhaps. Your opinions are always heard, and they make a very big difference with regards to what goes on around these parts. Folks, as always, a massive thanks goes out to all of the channel members and patrons who've been supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Y'all keep us alive and running smoothly. And of course, a big ol' thanks goes out to each and every one of you for watching. Until next time, cheers.